Tova Tolman with her secret origami skills. Tova joined the Savannah Jewish community a little more than 3 years ago, coming to us from the Northeast. Since arriving, she's made a home here at the J as a member of the Federation Board and is active with the AA and with Shalom School, where she's the president. You might be wondering what her day job is. Might be wondering if her day job is what introduced her to paper folding, but alas, she is a college counselor without any ties to Japan. So without further ado, I'll send this over to Tova to teach us about origami and these secret skills nobody knew she had.
Thanks, Jamie. And I'm actually really mad at Orly because this is like one of my secret party tricks that you can just whip out at an opportune moment and just surprise people. So I hope that very few people outside of who I can see on Zoom are actually watching. I know that you want as many people watching as possible, Jamie, but I'll be very mad at Orly if that's the case. So before anyone gets too excited, let me make really clear here. I know very little about the history and the origins of origami, but Orly said I couldn't just come on and give a demonstration. So I did a little research and I learned a little bit that I hope to share here with you. But mostly we're going to be focusing on a demonstration today. So unless your hand is in full traction cast up to your shoulder, oh my goodness, poor Toby, I expect you to have a piece of paper with you and get ready to learn a little bit of fun. So it looks like I'm now co-host. Oh no, you haven't made me co-host yet, Jamie. Come on, Jamie. Quit falling asleep on the job here. You don't do enough. Okay. Now I can share screen, share, and let's give a history, a brief history and some hands-on fun. Key on brief here. Okay, so origami might actually sound like origami. It's a Japanese words to fold, is oru on the left, and paper, kami on the right. And we'll go through a little bit of what it was called before, but again, we're going to keep this part brief because I know everyone just wants to start folding some paper. Paper was actually invented right around the turn of the century. And with that came not shortly after, and this was in China, by the way, and it was brought to Japan by monks in the 6th century. Handmade paper, though, was a big luxury. So it didn't gain really more popularity and become something that more people had what to do with until it became mass produced and more affordable. In the earlier period, in like the 1600s to 1800s or so, it was mostly ceremonial, often featuring lots of different cuts and folds. And it was regarded as a new form of art that was used a lot of times in ceremony and by Japanese monks, which I'll talk a little bit more about that. It became more popular later on, not till the late 1700s though, again with the mass production of paper. So it really used to be only for the elite. The butterflies on the right are an example of some of the formal ceremonies it would be used for in a Japanese couple's wedding reception. These sorts of butterflies would adorn sake bottles. And then as it became more and more popular in the late 1700s, the book 1,000 Cranes was written. And it's actually not necessarily a book about origami, but it was the first book that origami was really mentioned in. And this was written by, I apologize, I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation of his name, but Akisato Rito, and this was published in 1797. It was much more about the cultural customs than a series of instructions, but in it, it talked about a story, one of the Japanese traditions, that if a person folds 1,000 paper cranes in their life, they're going to be granted one special wish. So you'll see a lot of times as a custom still today for a Japanese wedding, you might have everyone folding cranes or that person working on folding cranes for their own wedding so that they can have a wish granted. Then in 1845, I'm going to butcher this name, Ajaki Kazuyuki published a more comprehensive compilation of paper folding. And by the late 1800s, that's when it really came to be known as origami. It used to be called folded shapes, not folded paper, folded shapes was orikata. So origami was folded paper. And then it really became well known to the masses by the person who's known as sort of the grandmaster of origami in modern times, Akira Yoshizawa, who wrote the book Atarashi Origami Gaijutsu, which is translated to New Origami Art. So when he was in his 20s, he used his knowledge of origami to teach employees. And this, if you want to know if there's ever a practical application to paper folding, yes. This guy taught his new employees in his factory the geometrical concepts they needed to know to do their job through origami. So he actually published a lot of designs in the mid-50s and was really the catalyst that turned him into the origami superstar, was publishing that book. He spent the rest of his life serving as sort of a cultural ambassador for Japan, and he brought a lot of awareness of origami techniques to the rest of the world. And he only died about 15 years ago then, in 2005. Which brings us to the end of my knowledge on all things origami. So without further ado, this is the moment in time where you're all gonna get out a sheet of paper, if you can. Ideally already square. And I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here and I'm gonna switch. Hang on one second. Okay, so now you should see my hands, right? A sheet of paper. Okay, we're gonna do this. We're switching it up. I'm using two screens. I'm very technologically advanced here. So everyone should have a sheet of paper. Ideally, you already have a square sheet of paper. As you can see, this here is a rectangle. So your first technique is to make it into a square. If those of you who have came prepared already with a square sheet of paper, you can skip this step. If you do not, if you have a rectangle like me, fold yourself somewhere a square. Now what we have to do is get rid of this extra little sheet here. So what I'm going to do is fold over that edge so that my edges are crisp and aligned. And then I'm going to use just a pen to crease that line. Now this is in a way cheating because origami is paper folding. You're not necessarily supposed to make cuts or tears, but I needed a square sheet. So this was, I figured many of you also wouldn't have a square sheet. I started with a rectangle so that you could all see how to get a square sheet. So now you have a perfect square that is folded in a half to a triangle. I'm going to recommend you fold it one more time in half, like that, because those are going to become guidelines. But you can go ahead and unfold it now. So now you should have a square sheet of paper with 4 even lines with an even point here in the middle. And this is where we can begin. Now, to really make it fun, what I recommend doing is making up your own story and making it up live when you are making fun of someone, teasing them, or just telling a story at a party. So it's Hanukkah, and here's your plate of latkes. Or it's the Federation, and this is our goal of money we need to raise. And if everyone can just contribute a little bit, what you're going to do is start folding in your corners right into that middle. So take your 4 corners and fold them into the middle. Anyone who used to make a fortune teller when they were little maybe remembers these steps. This is a very similar process, but we're going to do something different. So what was the example I was saying? I was saying this here, the square represents the Federation's goal, our goal for our annual campaign right here. And now everyone has contributed a little. So what I've done is flipped it over, folded in all 4 corners into the middle, and now I'm flipping it over. I don't know how to make dinosaurs. I do not take special requests, but thank you for participation from the audience. Now, so this is my campaign goal. I'm the Federation. I'm raising money. I want 4 more people to make donations to cut our goal in half. So again, we flipped it upside down. Our folds are underneath us, and everyone's going to contribute 4 more times. So fold it into the middle. Again, just like you did before, bringing your corner points right to the middle. And now flip it over upside down one more time. And voila, our campaign goal is in half. This is very exciting. Maybe you want to tell a story about a king who has a plot of land and he keeps losing wars and his plot of land keeps decreasing in size. But I'm going with the campaign pledge story. We're going to do it one more time because we're going to get 4 more people to make it their donation. So if you're watching right now and you haven't made a pledge to the 2021 campaign, now is a great time. I bet you can unmute yourself and Jamie could take your pledge right now. And then if you did that, we will be down to another half its size square. Is anyone is working alongside me? You want to show me what you have so far? Ooh, Shayna, I like your paper. That's fancy. Aaron, I'm glad you're not, it's very even, very nice, but I'm also glad you didn't use any smaller paper. Don't worry, it's never going to get smaller than this.
I hope not.
Now, from here, we have 2 different sides. We have a side that kind of flops open, and we have the side that the points are towards the middle. So I want you to have the flops open side down and the points to the middle side up, and you can put it back down in your table now. All right. Give me a little nod if you're still with me. Nice folding, Adam, by the way. Very, very good job. Okay, now here's where it gets a little bit complicated. Do you see this corner? There are 4 of these. You're going to push it up away, and you see how it opens up a little bit. The flap opens up like that. See if I can't bring it. And then you're going to fold it flat. So I've done that to just 1, but there are still 3 more. I'm going to do that 3 more times. So now you might wonder, wait, this king had all that land. Why is he folding his land? It's because his land is so small now, he couldn't possibly even build a house on it. This is useless land. Instead, he turns it into a beautiful badge. And it could become all kinds of decorated and beautiful. Or maybe you make a campaign pledge and you are awarded a beautiful badge. And then you might say, you know what? I don't want a badge. I want a pair of shoes. Wait, how did she just do that? So you are open here and your badge. Okay. Take 2 in the middle. There are 2 rectangles. Hang on. There we go. 2 rectangles in the middle. And fold them back into triangles like they were before, like that. Very good, Aaron, I see. And then you fold it up in half to a pair of shoes. Beautiful, Shayna. Arlene, how you doing over there? I see you working hard.
I had to run get the paper
Aaron,
while you were starting.
Lauren's just smirking at me. Okay, next, you decide what does a new pair of shoes need, but a matching pair of pants, right? Every new pair of shoes needs a matching pair of pants. So open up your shoes, and this one's a little bit tricky. You take your corners like this, like so, with your thumbs and your pointer fingers. Put your middle fingers at the edge of your shoe tips, your toes of your shoes, and open it up. And with your middle fingers, push the toes of the shoes back up and in. And that's going to actually become your knees, the knees for your new pair of pants. Hang on. There we go. New pair of pants. And with every new pair of pants, you need a matching sweater. Jamie, I'm sorry, this one isn't maternity sized, but I bet we can get a little J right here up on the emblem. So here's where it can get a little bit fun in your storytelling. If you were using the king story and someone was robbing him of his land, all of a sudden the king needed to defend himself, and it's Georgia, and there are all kinds of gun laws. So you fold your jeans in half, and you all of a sudden have a gun and say, "Get off my land!" And then the person who was trying to steal his land takes their knife out and stabs him and says, "No, I will not get off your land." And they get into a horrible fight. And then, hang on, by the way, so you had your pants, and you had your sweater was your open up sweater. Fold back up to your pants in half. That's how you get your gun, or turn it around for your knife. Then you go back to your sweater, and in your story, maybe your person has to flee. Maybe they have to run away. Maybe they need to go find a new place with different gun laws because they don't like those gun laws. So they get on a plane and they fly away. Where was I, by the way? This was your sweater. So you go back up to almost to your jeans, but instead you fold it in like that. Oops, let's get both sides open there so your wings can properly fly. You don't want your plane to crash. And maybe on your plane, you sit down next to someone and oh my goodness, it's Jamie Richmond. Hang on one second. So you sit down, she opens up her tray table, and what do you know? You're sitting and having a conversation, and she again starts pitching this whole campaign. And she's saying, we haven't made, hang on a second. Has anyone lost me yet? Do I need to go back a few steps? Shana, you lost me? Where was the last step you
Oh,
got?
I'm way lost.
I think I got lost at the.
I know the problem.
Pants.
Hold on. I'm muted on both sides. Okay, Shana, one more time.
I think you lost me like at the pants sweater transition.
I can help you out with that.
Thank you.
Okay, let's take the shortcut. Okay, so here are your pants. Oopsies. The pants open up to the sweater. Okay, and then the sweater really becomes also the airplane. So this is your pants, this is your sweater, and as you were to bring it back up to your pants, bring the elbows of the sweater into the middle, and that becomes your airplane. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky. Remember how we did that middle thing? We pulled it apart and pushed up in the center again. We're going to do that again with changing the airplane into a table so that Jamie can solicit us. So you open up and push in the middle there where your elbows were, and now it's a table. So Jamie's going on and on about all the wonderful things the Federation does, like bring incredible, talented speakers to Food for Thought, like the most amazing talented speakers, and how sometimes they give away prizes like boat trips and sailing away to a deserted island. And she's going on and on about how everyone should be making their campaign pledges and donations, and how we might be making the million mark soon. We're going to get there soon, I'm hopeful. And then she turns and looks at you and says, are you ready to make a pledge? Where's my money? Let me walk you through a few of those steps. So we were sitting at a judge's table, right? Or Jamie's table. If you're using the King story, hang on one second, let me go back to the table. Okay, so here's the table. If you are using the King story, maybe you accidentally defending yourself, shot someone, and now you need to go sit and talk to the judge, and the judge says, forget it, you're going to be in trouble, you better run away. So you're going to need to get into a boat. So you flip your table upside down, and right where it's already naturally folded, you press it down. You with me, Shana? You with me, Aaron? With me, Aaron? Yes, great. Aaron say maybe not so much. So now it's essentially the boat, or a regular boat without a sail, but we have to fold it in half away. So we want that opening to be on the bottom side. So you have your two triangles and you fold it away back towards yourself, and that can be a rowboat. But it'd be way more fun if your boat had a sail. How did I do that? You use the creases that are already there, pretty well formed at this point, and rotate that top half of the boat. And now you have a sail. And now here comes my favorite part. So you go back to the regular rowboat. And if you look inside both sides of the rowboat, there's a little piece of paper, a little triangle sticking up. Both sides of the rowboat have it. See that? So pick one side and pull gently up to unfold that side of the rowboat. So we have the rowboat on this side and a full triangle on that side. You put your rowboat down, so you now just have your triangle, and you make it back into a rectangle. So you fold in your first corner and your second and the top. And now you fold it back over to be even with the rectangle. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Toby's laughing. Arlene, you've given up?
Uh,
We're gonna do the same thing on
oh,
the other side. So you
I'm
pull
just
out-
watching.
So you pull up that other side and you do the same things. You fold in your 3 ends like so. So you have a big triangle and you're making it down into a rectangle. And you flip over that edge. So now you have a rectangle all the way around from your rowboat. Standing with me? Excellent.
Even with 2 hands, that's beyond my skill set.
Then here comes the grand finale. You open, stand up your rectangle, take your one flap, take your other flap, and pull. I have your box. And Jamie can walk around the JEA. Say, please make your donation here. Thank you, Lauren, for the applause. Now, with 4 minutes to spare, I was told to keep it under 30 minutes. Hang on. Let me switch back to my other computer. All right, so now you have your box, hopefully. You're all now origami masters. You all helped me learn a little bit something about the origins of origami. And you have learned how to make a square, a badge, a pair of shoes, a pair of pants, a sweater, a gun, a knife, a boat, a sailboat, an airplane, a table, and a box, and an island. So I'd say that's not too bad for 27 minutes on a day's work. I can take questions, but I'm sure I don't know any of the answers. Or where did I learn this? That's a good question. 5th grade. I'm pretty sure we had a substitute teacher for Hebrew that day, and the poor substitute teacher did not stand a chance. And 3 of us sat in the back of the classroom, and one of them taught me how to do this. I am still friends with that person today. What do you think, Arlene?
Oh, it's beyond my grade level.
I don't know about
What-
that.
Well,
What
this
about
is
the
what
swans,
got.
though? How do you make a swan?
This is what I have.
You know what? From there, you can go to the table or one of the.
I'm at the table.
Pretty good. Toby, that is this. If you want to talk about things that are beyond my grade level, the swan is absolutely beyond my grade level.
Oh, really?
Yes. Welker could probably learn how to do it, but I could not. Jamie, can I offer anything else before sending everyone on their merry way?
No, thank you so much. That was very
That was it?
entertaining and a skill we did not know that you had.
I'm not sure it qualifies as a skill, but sure.
Oh, yes, it does.
And storytelling is a skill, so this is a add-on to your storytelling skills.
There you go. I'm sorry, Carol, I don't know how to make a newspaper hat either. I'm really pretty useless when it comes to my origami outside of the box.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining us. Next
fun.
week, we have Jennifer Rich. She will be leading us in a discussion about understanding the systems in our lives. How do we each understand the personal effect of systems such as healthcare, economic, political that rule our lives? So that sounds very interesting and probably a little more serious than today's talk. So a very happy holiday week. I will not be here next week, so Happy New Year to everybody, and thank you.